same thing. And, you know, this shit happens. And so as we do that, we get a little bit deeper into to whatever lesson it is. But so today our poses are going to be inspired by that. So a lot of like spiraling in, spiraling out type motions, and quite a bit of stuff for our shoulders. Okay. Sound interesting? So let's take a second just to center ourselves here. Have your stuff ready by you. If you like to do the journaling part, grab your journal for when we get done with our little short meditation and breathing exercise work here. You don't have to sit down for this if you don't want to. You could always lay down. Otherwise, if you are sitting down, sit up tall. Doesn't even really matter what doesn't matter what position of seated position that you take, just one that you can comfortably do, okay? And then close your eyes and begin to deepen your breath. Notice what's right there for you. Like what's the loudest thing that you're experiencing right now? Feel into that, feel around it, notice where it's sitting. And just start to pull some smooth, deep breaths over it. And you don't have to try to deepen your breath yet, just, or not super deep yet, just noticing your breath as you breathe it, becoming really aware of how you're breathing. And then slowly, gradually making those breaths take a little bit longer, just by slowing them down. Continuing to sort of tune into those most surface level sensations that you have right now. I like to think of those things as things that we integrate into our practice. It's not like we're going to try to set them aside. We want to just make space for them as you move and as you breathe and as you think and emote, just allowing for whatever it is to be. And now beginning to really work your breath. Let's practice Ujjayi Pranayama, which is a fairly simple breath where you tighten your vocal cords as you inhale and exhale through your nose. It's almost like you're trying to whisper your breath. So it creates this sound on the inhale and the exhale. The tricky part is getting that sound to come more from your throat than from your nose. And it's much easier to make that sound on the exhale than it is the inhale for most of us. And just note at any time if this breathing exercise or really any breathing exercise that I offer starts to give you anxiety or makes you feel panicky, just go back to a breath that makes you feel calm. So Ujjayi Pranayama, Ujjayi meaning victorious. Prana is our vital life force, and Yama is like a restraint or a way of controlling. This type of breathing exercise helps us to slow our breath down, and it also gives us some feedback because we can hear ourselves breathe. And it doesn't have to be super loud, but for people beginning to learn this breathing exercise, it can actually be helpful to make it pretty loud, because then you can really tell if that sound is coming through your nose or your throat. We're going to add a little layer to this with our belly breath. So as you inhale, fill up from the tip of your tailbone all the way to your low ribs, to the top of your shoulders on the inhale. And then as you exhale, imagine exhaling from the top of your shoulders down to the middle of your rib cage, all the way back down to your pelvic floor. So you're really imagining filling up your entire abdomen on the inhale, starting from the very lowest point, and then exhaling from the very top. So from your shoulders all the way down to the tip of your tailbone. So it's pretty easy to make these really slow, long breaths when we're holding poses, but it becomes a little bit more hard when we do more vinyasa-like flows. So it's more of like a half inhale, half exhale. So you might notice that as you practice, it's really difficult to take the full long inhale, the full long exhale when you're moving more quickly, and that's totally normal. So you're just going to adapt your breath to whatever we do. You can leave your hands where they are or bring them together in front of your heart. And as you breathe with Ujjayi breath, incorporating that long, slow belly breath, start to think of the ways in which you spiral. We all have like many of these, many things that we continue to revisit in our lives and continue to glean lessons from as we go deeper and become more mature adults. See if there's one that sort of stands out to you, maybe one that you've revisited lately or are revisiting now. And you can use your practice today to honor that process, even though it's not always that fun. We know it's necessary. Let's sing the sound of Om. Take a deep inhale. Start to open your eyes. If there's anything that really stuck out to you that you want to write in your journal, you can do that now. Take just a few minutes to do that. Otherwise, if you want to come to your mat and start out on your back, you can go right for that. So if you start out with just going straight to your mat, just do whatever little stretches that your body asks of you. Okay, so you can start out on your back or seated and go to your back here in just a second. If if you're not muted, will you mute yourself? I'm trying to figure out how to mute all, but I can't see it. Got it. Okay. So if you're going to use props or you have some props, have them handy. And then start out by laying on your back. Bring your knees into your chest and just roll from side to side a little bit. And then let your knees drop over to the right. Place your right hand on the outside of your left leg and stretch your left arm out to the side. Stay here breathing for a few breaths. You can go back to that Ujjayi breath if you would like. And then bringing your knees back to center, drop your knees over to the left. Take your left hand on the outside of your right leg, stretch your right arm out to the side and breathe. And return to center. Keep your right knee towards your chest. Interlace your fingers around your right shin and pull it in. And then stretch your left leg out straight. Hover your left heel above the floor. You can point or flex your feet. It's up to you. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, lift your head and chest towards your right knee. Another breath like that. Bring your head and chest back down. This is going to be a similar pose to the one we started with. Take your left leg to the floor now. Hook your right toes on your left inner thigh, and then with your left hand, guide your right leg over to the left, back into a twist. Stretch your right arm out to the side. Breathe. And return to center. Bring your left knee into your chest. Interlace your fingers around your left shin. Stick your right leg out straight in front of you. You're going to hover that right heel above the floor. You point or flex your feet. It's up to you. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, lift your head and chest, bringing your face towards your knee. You're going to hold there for a few breaths. And take another breath. And then let your head and chest come back down. Take your right leg to the floor. Take your right hand to the outside of your left knee. Guide it over to the right. Stretch your left arm out to the side. Breathe here. Another breath.
return to center. Both knees in towards your chest this time. Lift up your head and chest and wrap both arms around your legs, making yourself into a little tiny ball. Hold here for a minute, breathing deeply. Not literally a minute, but for a second. More than a second as well. Take another breath. Place your feet on the floor behind your hips with your toes facing straight ahead. Getting ready for bridge pose. So when you lift your hips up into bridge, your knees will tend to sort of wobble out to the side. I want you to super glue the big toe edge of your feet into the ground. Tuck your tailbone up toward the back of your knees, then lift your pelvis. Now interlace your fingers underneath you, roll your upper arms underneath your back. See if you can lift your pelvis just a little bit higher by coming onto the ball of your feet and lifting your butt up. And then try to keep that height as your heels go down. Again, really stepping into the big toe side of your feet. And hold here, breathing. Press your pinkies down. Try to get your upper arms as close to each other as you can underneath you. Lift your chin away from your chest. And take another long, slow breath here in bridge. Then release the clasp of your hands and let your butt come down to the mat. Okay, bring your arms out over the top of you and cross your right arm on top of your left. And then bring your forearms together. See if you can touch your left fingertips to your right thumb, the ball of your right thumb or the base of your right thumb. So you're doing eagle arms on your back. And then cross your legs. You might be able to, right leg on top. You might be able to tuck your right toes underneath your right shin. So you're in eagle pose on the floor. You're gonna inhale and stretch your legs and arms apart. And then exhale, bring your knees and your elbows together. Maybe lift your head and chest if you can. And we're gonna hold, breathing. Not too long here, take another 2 breaths. Now, as you come out, try to keep your head and chest up. Take your arms as far apart as they'll go. Keep the back of your arms up. Take your legs as far apart as they'll go. Keep them hovering above the floor. Yep. And then come back to bridge pose. So feet behind your hips, toes facing straight ahead, arms at your sides to begin. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, step into the big toe side of your feet, lift your pelvis, interlace your fingers underneath you. You might take the opposite fingers on top. Really try to scoot your arms as close to each other underneath you as you can, bringing your shoulder blades together, really balancing on your shoulders. Okay, and then come onto the ball of your feet, lift your pelvis a tiny bit higher. Really think about lengthening your tailbone toward the back of your knees, and then try to keep that. Push your heels back into the floor. Step firmly into that big toe side of your feet. I'm going to take 2 more slow breaths here. Slowly release the pose. Eagle pose with the left arm and leg on top. So start with your arms, stack your arms, try to get your upper arms up on each other, and then right hand comes around to touch your left palm. Cross your left leg over your right, maybe twist your shins if you can. It's not totally necessary. You're gonna take a deep inhale here, try to stretch your arms and legs apart while they're crossed. And then exhale, lift your head and chest, bring your elbows and your knees close together and hold for 4 breaths. Slow, deep inhales and exhales. And then open yourself up, open your arms, open your legs. Maybe keep your head up if you can, breathe. And final bridge, bring your feet to the floor, arms at your sides. We're gonna do more of a hamstring bridge this time. So step into the big toe side of your feet, tuck your tail, lift your hips, interlace your fingers underneath you. Whichever hand you choose on top is all right. Walk your feet forward. Try to keep your butt up. So we're gonna keep walking forward until you start to really feel your hamstrings have to work. And then once you get to that point, lift your toes up. Push your heels down. Try to lift your butt a little higher away from your hands. Last breath. And then walk your feet back to underneath your knees. That's it. Lift up a little higher. And then release your hands. Bring your butt to the floor. And just windshield wiper your knees back and forth a couple times here. Okay, use that knee swing from side to side to roll you all the way over to one side and prop yourself up. Come on to hands and knees, please. Quadruped position. Okay, I'm gonna show you this because it's really quite difficult. And you might actually do this with me really quick. So take your arms out in front of you like this and imagine the floor is underneath you, underneath your hands. It will be soon, okay? And then do some shoulder shrugs here. So really actually circles. So you're going up, down, and around, okay? Okay, so it's one thing to do this with our hands in the air, switch directions. And it's a whole other weird thing to try to do this with your hands on the floor. When your hands are on the floor, it's gonna make you want to do it with your chest, but instead keep directing the movement to come from your shoulders, okay? So put your hands on the floor like you would for quadruped, taking your hands a little wider than shoulder distance apart, fingers spread wide, pointer fingers pointing straight ahead, and then start your shoulder circles. And just notice that difference there. When we do it with our hands in the air, our arms are able to come in and out, hands come closer together and then further out. But when your hands are stuck on the floor, they can't do that, and it directs even more movement into your shoulders. Okay, try to go the opposite direction. Brain teaser. Great. Okay, now a tricep stretch. If you have some blocks, you might use blocks here. I'm gonna set the blocks at the top of your mat with the short edge of your blocks together. If you don't have blocks, it's okay. You're just gonna put your elbows on the ground. Okay, but if you do have blocks, you'll take your blocks with your elbows on your blocks a little narrower than your shoulders. If you don't have blocks, just put your elbows on the floor a little narrower than your shoulders. And then let's do prayer hands. So palms together, thumbs up. Walk your knees back. And you're only gonna have your knees as far back as you can keep your knees underneath your hips. So knees underneath hips, not behind your hips. You'll start to feel the stretch almost immediately in the back of your arms and in your shoulders. And then this might be enough for you. If you've got tighter shoulders, you might be here breathing, forehead on the floor or on your blocks. Or you might go further by lifting your hands up and bringing your thumbs toward the back of your neck. Okay, we're gonna breathe here. And take those slow Ujjayi breaths, or just slow, deep breaths. You can let your chest sag toward the ground. One more deep inhale and exhale like this. If your thumbs are by the back of your neck, you're going to move your hands forward. And then push your elbows down really hard to lift your chest up and bring your head forward. We're gonna do that a couple times. Okay, so shoulders come back, you go toward that stretch again, hips go back, chest comes down, but not as far. And then use the strength of your shoulder or your elbows pushing down and pulling back to bring you forward. Okay, so that's a good tricep strengthening here. Let your chest come down, head comes down, and then push down into your elbows and pull back to bring you forward. Okay, breathing as you move, a couple more times. You can do this on the floor as well. Last one. Okay, walk your knees forward and tuck your toes underneath your feet. And if you can, you're gonna sit on your heels. If it's too uncomfortable for the bottom of your feet to sit like this, you can sit on blocks or stand on your knees instead of sitting on your heels. So you still get a foot stretch, but it's not as intense. Okay, take your right arm out in front of you, and then using your left arm, you're just gonna pull that arm in strongly. And breathe. So you can still feel this mostly in your triceps, most likely. Okay, so keep pulling your arm in, but you're gonna move that left arm down your right arm, and your right arm is eventually gonna kind of swing forward. Okay, and then left arm crosses your heart. Take your right forearm to the back of your left arm and pull it in strongly. If you've got, like, if the tightness of in your shoulders is mostly on your back, like in your rhomboids or your middle traps, then you might even be feeling this in your shoulder muscles that are on your back. Lucky you. Take another deep breath. And then keep that strong pressure, but move your arm down your other arm until it sort of flings forward. Yay. Okay, stand up. One more shoulder stretch. Well, kind of. Take your feet out a little wider than your hips. You can turn your toes out a little bit. Interlace your fingers behind your back. You just want to have a nice wide stance for this. Pull your hands away from your back. And as you inhale, lift your heart up, look up. And then exhale, bend your knees and fold forward. Lift your butt as you fold. And let your head come all the way down. At first, let your shoulders relax. Just sort of let the weight of your arms do some nice stretching. And now unshrug your shoulders. Lift your shoulders away from your ears. Good, straighten your legs a little more, but keep your, let's do left knee bent for the first side. Turn your chest toward the right and take the back of your head towards your left knee. So right leg is straight, left knee is bent. Your chest is turning toward the right, even though your body is almost directly over your left thigh. Another breath. Okay, come back to center with it. And then do the opposite side. Bend your right knee, turn your chest to the left, take the back of your head toward the right, and breathe. Last breath. Return to center. Both knees a little bent. Bring your fingertips to the floor. As you inhale, lift your chest, look forward. And then exhale, step back to plank pose. You can have your knees up or down. Feet hip distance apart, look forward, inhale. Exhale, bring your knees down, thighs come all the way to the floor. Bend your elbows as you lower yourself. And then inhale, lift and curl your chest up. Lift your chin, look up, press your toenails down for a little cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Push your knees down, tuck your toes, hips come back. Down dog. Walk in place a little bit here. Okay, bring your left forearm to the floor and bring your right leg up. Bend your right knee and look underneath your right arm. Little cowboy dog here. Fucking bronco dog. Very strange stretch. Another breath. Bring your right foot down. Lift your left elbow. Bring your right elbow down. Right forearm down. Lift your left leg. Bend your left knee. Look underneath your left arm. Breathe. Really push your right forearm down and forward. Another long, slow breath. And then bring that left foot down. Lift your right elbow. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, hop or step forward. Inhale, lift halfway up, look forward. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, reach your arms out and up as you stand. Bring your palms together overhead for upward salute, look up. Exhale, bring your arms down to your sides and look straight ahead. Reach toward the floor with your fingertips. Inhale, reach out and up again. Feet are hip distance apart. Look up. Exhale, fold forward, fingertips to the floor. Inhale, lift halfway up, look forward. Exhale, step back to plank again. Inhale, plank. Exhale, slowly lower to the ground. You might pass through chaturanga if you know it. Elbows bend. It's a low part of a push-up. All the way to the ground. Inhale, curl up for cobra pose. Shoulders roll back, shoulders away from your ears. Exhale, downward facing dog. This time, both forearms come to the ground. Dolphin pose. So when we do this, most of us, our hands will try to come together. Try to keep your hands apart. Press your elbows down and forward and bring your head toward the ground. So this is just like down dog, except elbows are on the floor. And it's harder for most of us. Take a deep inhale here. Okay, pick your head up, look forward, and start to walk your feet back so you end up in forearm plank, everybody's favorite plank, right? Press your elbows down and forward still, lengthen your tailbone, look ahead, another breath. Good, and then let yourself come all the way down to the ground. For Sphinx pose, press your elbows down and forward, but pull your shoulders back. Press your toenails down, another breath. Okay, tuck your toes. Come on up to, back to plank, forearm plank. Yep, dolphin. Here we go, down dog. Good, I told you it's gonna be shouldery, walk forward. Feet hip distance, inhale, lift your chest, look forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach out and up to stand. Exhale, arms at your sides. Eagle pose. So start with your feet together. Okay, bend your knees a little bit. Cross your right leg over your left. You can keep your right toe tips on the floor if you'd like. If you've got your balance here, you might try to hook those toes behind your shin. That can be hard depending on your calf size. Reach your arms out to the side, turn your palms up, and then reach your arms forward. Cross your right arm on top of your left. Bring your hands towards your face and then turn your left hand to touch your right. Okay, like we did earlier, you're gonna try to spread out, but you're gonna stay seated. So you're gonna lift your arms up and press that Balancing foot down. Take a deep inhale. And then exhale, bring your elbow and your knee towards each other. Like, I know you can't actually lift your knee, or you shouldn't be, but the feeling of lifting your knee up. And take another breath. And we'll slowly start to come up and out of the pose. And take a moment there, stand tall, breathing. Good. Bend your knees. Cross your left leg over your right. You might keep your left toe tips on the floor or bring your left toe tips behind your right shin. Arms come out to the side. Turn your palms up, reach your arms forward, stack your left arm on top of your right. Hands come towards your face. Turn your right hand to touch your left, lift your elbows. Get your balance for a moment here. Those left toe tips on the floor will really help with balance. Now try to stretch your arms up a little higher as you inhale. And then exhale, bring your elbow and your knee towards each other. Keep your breath. One more deep inhale and exhale. Start to come up. Unwind your arms, unwind your legs, stand tall for a moment. Okay, so hopefully your shoulders are nice and warm now. Begin at the top of your mat. We're actually going to begin in eagle pose. Okay, so right side eagle pose. Bend your knees, cross your right leg over your left. Do the whole arms out, bring your right arm on top, cross your arms, palms together. Sink low. It's actually easier to keep your legs together if you get lower. Squeeze your arms and legs into each other. You're going to come to like a halfway point between stretching out and curling in. Get your balance here. Take a deep inhale. And then exhale, warrior. It's actually not warrior. It is high lunge pose. Step your right foot back. It's a version of warrior one. So that you're in high lunge, right heel over the ball of your right foot. We're going to do a little movement here. Your back leg's going to stay straight. Left knee is going to stay directly over your ankle, so we're not like bouncing in our legs. Legs stay sturdy. As you inhale, lift your elbows and lean back. And then exhale, bring your elbows towards your knee. We'll do that a couple times. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, coming back down. And keep going. Remember, it's sort of the most difficult part really is trying to not bend and unbend your knees. So the movement is just coming from your upper body. Let's do two more. On that last one, come up. Take your arms out to the side, spin your back heel down so you're in warrior two, and just land there for a moment. Back foot parallel to the back of your mat. Front knee directly over your ankle. Should be able to see your own left big toe. Stretch your arms out. Look over your front fingertips and breathe. Reverse warrior. Place your right hand on your right thigh. Turn your left palm up. As you inhale, stretch back. Good. And then exhale. Come back to warrior two. Good. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Take a deep inhale. Tricky here. You're going to exhale, turn forward. As you do, come back to high lunge. But keep your upper body twisting. Bring your right elbow to your left knee or on the outside of your left knee. And breathe. And take another long, slow breath right here. And then you need to bend your back knee, push off your back foot. keep your elbow and front knee together and step forward so you're in a twisted chair pose. Make it, yes. Good, breathing here. Warrior two, facing the left. So spread your arms out and take that left foot back so you end up in warrior two. Look over your right fingertips, take another deep breath. Bring your hands down. Step back, plank pose. Good, inhale, plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Find your breath in down dog. Nice, slow, deep inhales and exhales. Press the floor away from you with your hands. Spread your fingers wide. Fingertips cling slightly to the floor. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, hop or step forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. And exhale, fold. Big breaths here. Inhale, lift yourself up. Exhale, arms at your sides. Take a breath. Eagle pose, left side, feet begin together. Bend your knees. Cross your left leg over top your right. Take your arms out to the side so that you can rotate your shoulders. Reach your arms forward. Cross your left leg, arm over. Good, and then come into your eagle pose, sit low, and breathe. Elbows are lifting just a little bit here. Another deep inhale. As you exhale, step back to high lunge. Left foot steps back. Very difficult there. Sneaky, a lot of sneaky core work today, I'm thinking. As you inhale, lift your elbows, lean back. Remember, try to keep your legs still. As you exhale, fold your upper body forward. We'll do 4 more of those. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bow. Really try to pay attention to only moving your upper body. If this is for some reason really easy for you and your legs, try taking your legs further apart. Last breath. Inhale, lifts you up. Exhale, spin into warrior two, facing the left. Okay, warrior two is one of the widest stances in the standing yoga poses. Right knee directly over your ankle. Push your right knee out to the side so you can see your big toe. Back foot parallel to the back of your mat. And then stretch your arms apart, looking over your front fingertips. Trying to find some joy in not having your arms all twisted up for a moment. Okay, reverse warrior, bring your left hand to your left thigh, stretch up and back, really stretch. Just like we were doing in those sort of wavy poses, we want our legs to stay the way they are whenever our upper body is moving when we're in these standing poses for the most part. Last breath. Come back to warrior two. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Turn your chest forward slowly as you do. Spin up off the back heel. The back heel lifts your back in the lunge and then keep spinning. Bring your left elbow to your right knee. If you get your elbow to the outside of your knee, push your elbow and your knee into each other. Slowly breathing here. Getting a lot of this slow burn today, I guess. Guess that was what my mood was. Another breath. Yeah, that sounds right. Look down. Here we go. Big step. Bend your back knee. Push off your back foot to step forward into twisted chair. Feet together, knees together. Keep your chest turning to the right. once you get there. Another inhale and exhale. So we're going to be your right foot that steps back to warrior two. You might look down for this. Step your right foot back. Warrior two. Back foot parallel to the back of your mat. Left knee over your ankle. Stretch your arms out. Point your tailbone toward the floor. Back leg straight and strong. Go over your front fingertips. One more breath. Look down. Turn your chest forward, hands to the floor. Step back, plank. Good. This time we're going to incorporate that forearm plank. Come down to your forearms, forearms underneath your shoulders. Stay there, take a breath. Okay, back to Sphinx pose. Let your thighs come down. Curl your chest up. Flip your feet toenails on the floor. Really trying to squeeze that bottom tip of your shoulder blades in toward the back of your heart. Lift your chin. Might even look up. Pubic bone pressing down. Another breath. Good. Tuck your toes. Back through forearm plank. So really start by pulling your navel in. Rounding your upper back slightly. Lift your knees. Then from there, hands where your elbows were for plank. Push back dog. And breathe. Last breath. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, pop your step forward. Inhale, lifting halfway up. Lift from your belly, then your chest. Look ahead. Exhale, fold over your legs. And then inhale, push off your feet as you rise up. Palms together overhead. Exhale, bring your arms to your sides. Oh, nicely done. Okay, stand in the middle of your mat, or if you've got your floor outside of your mat is not slippery, then you don't have to use your mat here, but you're gonna take your legs out wide. And you can measure that. So you know your feet are out wide enough for your own body if your ankles line up underneath your wrists. And that might be too wide for you, so you just kind of experiment there. Okay, this pose is very interesting. Take a deep inhale here. And then exhale, fold forward. As you do, lift your butt, bring your fingertips to the floor underneath your shoulders. Okay, so we actually might have to have our feet a little closer together. We're gonna experiment with this a little bit. I was experimenting with it earlier, and I haven't done it in a long time, so bear with me here. Look at your left foot. Walk your hands over towards your left foot. And then bend both of your knees. Okay? Place your right hand on your left shin. Good. Keep your knees bent, and you're going to pull yourself towards your right leg for a moment. Turning your chest toward, your left leg. Turning your chest towards your left leg. Lift your left hand and start to reach it over towards your right shin. So now your chest has to follow. You're gonna lift your left elbow up. Maybe pop your head through. Like I said, really weird. Your legs are gonna be as straight as your hamstrings will allow. Very twisted in on yourself pose. Okay, take a breath. And then release that, coming back to center. Okay, so if you take your feet slightly closer together, it might make the pose more accessible on this side. Bend your knees, walk your hands to your right foot, and then take your left hand to your right shin. So now you begin this process of sort of getting closer to your right leg at first, and then turn your chest to the right, then begin to take your head towards your left leg, Bring your right hand to your left shin. You might have to look, find it. Then bend your right elbow up toward the ceiling. Pop your head through if you can. And breathe. Strange hamstring stretch. Another big breath. Lots of different weird stretches here in this one pose. Excellent. Begin to unwind yourself. Coming back to center. Come back to that halfway position, halfway up. Ardha Pasrita. Good. And then exhale, fold. Do the nice straight version here for a moment. Let your head hang. Walk your hands back so your fingertips line up with your toe tips. Good. Walk your hands forward again so they're more directly underneath your shoulders just for a moment. And then bring your knees to the ground. Oh. Take your legs straight ahead. Okay, take your feet out wide, wider than your hips, with your feet on the floor. And then lean to the left. Place your right fingertips just on the outside of your right hip. And then you're gonna bring your right elbow forward toward the inside of your right knee. Just take your knees as far apart as you need. Sit forward, hook your elbow into your knee. Lean to the right, left fingertips to the outside of your left hip. Bring your elbow in, lean forward. So now your elbow's on the inside of your thighs and you're getting this really incredible stretch probably on the outside of your shoulders, more of those rotator cuff muscles. So you can inhale here, try to lift your chest up a little bit. And then exhale, lean forward. You might let your head hang. And then somewhere in between both of those things, you might find a place for yourself. On your next inhale, if your head is still down, lift your head. And then exhale, let your knees go out wide, bring your arms forward. Just take a moment. That's another powerful stretch. Okay, so we've gotten to my peak pose. We might actually not get to do Gomukhasana because that's the way it is. That's what happens sometimes. But turtle pose, Kurmasana. It's a really deep forward bend posture. We're already in a really great place to do it. You might take your feet even further apart, but feet are going to be on the floor, knees wide. Bring your right arm underneath your right leg with your palm on the floor. Take your left hand underneath your left leg with your left palm on the floor. Okay, and then this is a process, just like our theme of our class, of going sort of deeper into the pose, and you get where you get. So you're going to start to lift your toes up. And then bring your toes forward or your heels forward. As you do, you're gonna be leaning forward. And you'll get to a point where it's like, okay, that's it. But you might be able to, once you get to that point, reach your arms a little more underneath your legs. And then if you get that, you might be able to bring your heels a tiny bit more forward. And then you just keep repeating that. Reach your arms a little bit further underneath your legs. Push your heels a tiny bit forward. This is very much a kiss the floor pose. Forehead on the ground. If you get that far, let your head hang if you can, and breathe. Take 2 more deep breaths, wherever you are.
And slowly begin the process of coming out of your little shell. So you might start with your legs coming back first, or you might slip your arms out first. I don't know if you've ever stretched your elbows before, but now you have. Very deep elbow stretch there. Okay. Sit up for a second with your legs wide and just process. Close your eyes. And just feel the feels. Okay, and then open your eyes. So I think we do have time for Gomukhasana. If you like to do seated poses sitting up on a block, besides the one we just did, then you can grab a block to sit on. Use your hands to bring your legs closer together. I just love the idea of doing this pose after that one. So different in the way that we are holding ourselves. Bend your knees. So legs start out directly out in front of you, and then bend your knees. Take your left foot underneath your right leg, and you're gonna bring it as close to the outside of your right hip as you can. So your knee ends up being sort of directly out or centered with you, and then step your right leg over. Flip your feet so you're on the pinky side edges of both of your feet. Bring your heels close to your hips. Now, if you go to do this and either your knees or your hips are like no effing way, that would be a good indicator that you need to sit on a block or have your bottom leg straight, and that will usually make it accessible for most people, okay? This would be the place where you might use the strap, so hopefully you didn't twist your legs and the strap is like across the room. But you'd hold the strap with your right arm, right hand rather, take your left hand, pull your right elbow more behind your head, and then line your right hand up with your spine. Now push your head back into your arm to try to keep it in that place. Now take your left hand out to the side, turn your left hand to face behind you, and then find that strap, or if you can, find your fingertips, your hand, and clasp. And now right elbow pulls up slightly, left elbow pulls down slightly. In this pose, if you're like me, will really make you back bend a lot, like your upper back will be really bent. So try to pull your low ribs in and sit up tall instead. Relax your shoulders as best as possible. Like don't overly clench your shoulders here, and close your eyes, take 2 deep breaths. Cow face pose. So very different from turtle pose, but another way that we find ourselves sort of twisted up on ourselves. Different spiral. Take another breath just for your shoulders. Imagine you could put it directly into your shoulders. And then release the clasp of your hands and place both of your hands on your right knee. Keep your eyes closed here and just feel. Really let that pose wash over you. Begin to open your eyes. Okay. Definitely starting to get into mellow mode, right? Take your legs out in front of you. Bend your knees. Cross your right leg underneath your left. And then you can help yourself guide that foot over towards your left hip. Wiggle, do all the things to get it there. And then step your left leg over. Your knees are gonna be pretty much straight out in front of you, like in line with your spine. More or less, okay? Bring your heels as close to your hips as you can get them without being in too much pain, right? And then both sides are different, so on this side you might need to sit up on something, or you might need to have your bottom leg straight. It's okay if that wasn't the same thing on the other side. Lift your left hand, hold the strap in your left hand if you're gonna use it, or whatever prop you're using. Bend your elbow, take your right hand
And pull your left elbow further behind your head so you can pin it back with your head. So push your head back into your arm. Good, and then try to keep it that way. Take your right arm out to the side. Turn your palm to face behind you. Find the strap or your other hand. And then come out of any back bend that you may be doing. So pull your low ribs in, take your head back and sit up tall. Now the pose will make you want to lean forward. It'll make your head want to drop forward. Try to resist, close your eyes, and breathe. Notice if you're sort of like over clenching in your hip creases, soften there. Notice how that top arm wants to push your head forward, push your head back into your arm. Imagine taking your next full breath all into your shoulders, just covering them up with breath. Creating space with breath. And then you could keep your eyes closed if you'd like. Unclasp your hands and set your hands on your left knee this time and just pause for a moment and feel the rebound. Start to open your eyes. Okay, you've reached the end of the spiral. You're going to find your way back onto your back. If there's anything that you need to keep you warm or comfortable for Shavasana, we're really almost there, so get those things ready for yourself. Once you're on your back, you're going to do this kind of fun thing. So take up some space on your mat, rest your arms wherever they'd be comfortable. And then the movement is going to come from your feet. You're going to sort of rock yourself, but you're going to pull your toes back towards your shins and push them forward quickly. And this will make your body start to move. You do this fairly quickly here at first. Once you start to feel comfortable with it, you can close your eyes. And you're just using that movement of your feet to send a ripple of movement through your whole body. So let your body be limp on the floor so that that movement from your ankles can trigger the movement in your body. Let your belly be soft and liquidy. Let your thighs be soft. The palms of your hands, the skin on your face. And then when you start to really get the hang of it, stay with it for a moment and just really let your body be rocked. Let your breath start to soften. Maybe some sighs of relief if you need them. And then start to slow it down. And once you get to not moving again, if there's still something there that you really need to do, some last stretch or movement or thing that you need to grab, please do that for yourself. And we'll just take a few minutes here in Shavasana to incorporate all of those movements, breath work into ourselves.
Feel yourself laying on the floor. What is the most pressing sensation or thought now? What are you overwhelmingly experiencing more than anything else now? You can invite some movement back to your body. Maybe just more movement of your lungs, deeper breaths. Whatever comes naturally. And if you'd like, you can stay laying on the floor or come up to a comfortable seated position. No rush. If you come up to seated, sit tall with your eyes closed for a second more here. Just keeping that deep connection with yourself for a moment longer. In honor of this practice, and the teachers that brought this practice to us, in honor of the people whose land that we practice on, in honor of each other for practicing together, for making that space for ourselves. Let's sing this final Om. You can leave your hands where they are, bring them together in front of your heart. Take a deep inhale. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Feels good to teach to you guys, even though I can't hear you and I can barely see you, but I know you're there. That's what's important. I'm not going to bother with this too many times, but I do want to let you guys know that I'm teaching another teacher training. So if you are interested in teacher training or you know somebody who is, spread the word. Starts in April. It's like every other weekend, 4-day weekends in April and May. Okay.